As you already know, the US and Israel attacked Iran, killing Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This news has created chaos and tension. However, since his death, many women in Iran are breathing a sigh of relief. Some Muslim women in India are mourning his death. A stark contrast. What is going on? Let me explain why. You may already know that under Iran's supreme leader Khamenei, women in Iran suffered the most. This was because many strict rules were imposed on them, including the hijab, which earlier did not exist. Before 1979, Iran was ruled by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, a king who pushed for modernization, encouraging women to study in universities, work in many professions like hairdressers, makeup artists, and professors, essentially treating men and women equally. You can see from the picture that Iranian women were once free. What happened after that? In 1979, a major event called the Islamic Revolution took place. The monarchy was overthrown and Iran became an Islamic Republic led by religious leaders. The country adopted a completely different flag when the new religious leaders came to power. After that, strict restrictions were imposed on women's clothing, freedom, and family rights, who were expected to focus mainly on the home, while men were seen as superior. These rules became even stricter. Khamenei's position as a leader made him powerful. Ali Khamenei was the supreme leader of Iran from 1989 to 2026, having the highest authority in Iran. The area he controlled would shock you. Let me share them with you. As a supreme leader, Khamenei influenced religious guidance, Iran's national laws, courts and judges, police forces, and media. These five areas that Khamenei had influenced and shaped Iranian public behavior and culture. Because of his powerful views, these rules slowly shaped how Iranians lived their daily life. An unusual approach. Khamenei had strong beliefs about women. He repeatedly said that men and women are not equal in their roles. He said that women's main responsibility is motherhood and family care. And that Western ideas from the US, UK, Europe about women's freedom are dangerous and immoral. He argued that strict clothing rules, which banned revealing clothes and denims while imposing the hijab, were obedience to Islamic law, keep society moral. Because of these beliefs, the government started to believe that women's behavior must be controlled by law. These rules were extremely strict. These strict rules controlled women's behavior in daily life. If their clothing was improper or their hair was visible, they could face severe punishment. These strict rules began after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. For breaking certain rules, women could be warned, fined, arrested, or even jailed. Shocking. To enforce these rules, Iran had police, courts, and special morality police. For example, just like we have traffic police who check whether someone is wearing a helmet, whether the insurance is valid, basically monitoring traffic rules. Similarly, Iran has morality police whose job was to monitor women's clothing and behavior. These checks happen in streets, shopping malls, universities, and even on public transport. Their job was to monitor women's clothing and behavior and ensure rules were being followed.
आईसीसी टी20 वर्ल्ड कप एक्साइटिंग है, लेकिन इंडिया के मैचेस की कमेंट्री समझ नहीं पाते हैं। जियो हॉटस्टार पर अब मैचेस आईएसएल इंटरप्रिटेशन के साथ अवेलेबल है। अभी देखो।
There are major laws and rules affecting women. First, mandatory hijab, not a choice. Women must cover their hair and wear loose clothing in public. Tight clothes or uncovered hair can lead to punishment. Second, punishment for improper dress. If a woman did not wear a hijab, she could face severe punishment such as fines, arrests, or even several years in jail as mandated by the court, simply for her clothing. Women were required to obey Islamic law and were not allowed to disobey it. Third, the Special Morality Police have the authority to stop women in public. In India, women can question the police and there are women police officers to handle such situations. However, in Iran, the morality police can stop women in public and question them. If they believe the rules have been violated, they can take the women to re education classes on Islamic law where they are taught proper behavior and how to follow the rules. Fourth, married women in Iran do not have the freedom to travel abroad. Even if they have a passport, they need their husband's permission to leave the country. Often, they are also not allowed to travel alone but with the husband. Men can divorce more easily. Women usually must prove serious reason in court. After divorce, children custody often goes to the father or his family, especially when children grow older, not to the mother. 7. Women generally receive smaller inheritance shares than men. Often, a woman receives half the share of a male relative. 8. Girls can legally marry at young ages, sometimes around 13 or 14 years, with legal approval, while the man may be over 60 years of age. 9th, government policies encouraged and pressurized women to stay home, focus on marriage, and have more children. The aim was to increase the national birth rate. 10. There were strict restrictions on women studying subjects like science, engineering, or technical fields, not even related employment opportunities. The government encouraged women to choose only certain university subjects, while most fields remained open to men. All job opportunities were open for men. For women, only certain lighter jobs were encouraged, so that their main focus remained on their family and home. 11. Newer policies use surveillance to enforce hijab rules, including cameras. Public reporting systems, such as the ones that will monitor women's clothing and identify violations. This made women's life very difficult and filled with stress and constant endurance during these laws. 12. Domestic violence, where a husband beats his wife, was accepted under family laws in Iran. Women had very limited ability to speak against the violence and was often treated as a private matter. While beating the wife, there should be no serious injury like broken bones, but bruising like black eye was considered acceptable. This is shocking and unbelievable that laws supported violence against women. This shows the inequality and injustice against women that was promoted under the supreme leader. Many women endured this and had no grievance redressal despite the abuse they faced. Actions like hitting, scratching, or pulling hair were tolerated. Husbands were only advised not to cause serious harm like broken bones. This happened in Iran. You may recall that ISH News had shared earlier about Mahsa Amini from Iran, who had courageously removed her hijab and was later shot dead. ISH News had shared this earlier. Watch it if you have missed. Large protests took place in Iran across the world against the treatment of women and in support of Mahsa Amini. The news spread widely, and many of you are aware of it. Khamenei responded to these protests by blaming the West. He said that foreign influence from countries like the US and the UK and Europe were interfering and misleading people. He said the laws were already in place for women to obey and that the women were being misled by Western influence. In his speeches, Khamenei praised women who followed strict religious dress. Traditional gender roles, and who rejected the idea of full equality between men and women. Khamenei praised such women and said that God would bless them. Now, how is there a connect between Khamenei and Kashmir? In 1981, before Khamenei became Iran's supreme leader, he visited Kashmir and delivered a sermon at Srinagar's Jamia Masjid. In that speech, he called for unity between Shia and Sunni Muslims and urged people to reconnect with Islamic teachings. Khamenei delivered a 15-minute sermon that deeply influenced the people who attended it. Sectarian tensions between Sunni and Shia Muslim eased, and both communities began praying in each other's mosques. The message from that 15-minute speech stayed in their minds for a long time. They were happy. Khamenei also made public statement about Kashmir, saying Muslims there are facing difficulties. ISH News had earlier shared that long ago, Persia, later known as Iran, had sent scholars to teach Persian literature and philosophy, religious teachings, and culture in Kashmir. When Khamenei became the leader, his teachings influenced many people for a long time. Now, after his death, some people in India have become deeply emotional because of Khamenei's open sympathy towards Muslim in Kashmir. It has also created tension between Iran and India, causing a controversy. After Khamenei's death, people in Kashmir and some other places were deeply affected and mourned his passing. Paradoxically, while they supported the mandatory hijab, many women in Iran felt relief after his death. Many believe that with his death, Iran could become freer and return to how it was once. Meanwhile, AIMIM President and Hyderabad MP Asaduddin Owaisi on 1st March 2026 called the reported assassination of Iran's supreme leader Khamenei unlawful. He also expressed hope that the central government would condemn the act.